Wow, what an excellent Adelaide 500 we've just had to open the Supercars 2018 season. There were huge crashes, great racing and passing going on, the important strategic battles, and it wouldn't be a Supercars around without the controversy. I'm going to cover all that in the Adelaide 500 review. Now before I get into the big talking points, I'm going to recap quickly what happened over the weekend. On Friday, the cars rolled out for practice and qualifying for race 1, and already there was drama when Waters and Whincup both crashed at turn 8. Waters in practice, where he drifted wide into the marbles and made contact with the concrete wall, broke the steering and it fired him hard into the inside wall at turn 9, resulting in huge damage for the Monster Energy Falcon. Whincup in qualifying completely lost control of the car on entry and slammed into their turn 8 wall, making a 50 G-force impact, and the car looked to be written off, but remarkably the Red Bull Holden racing team got it repaired overnight. The shootout for race 1 was claimed by Shane Van Gisbergen, where he smashed the field by 0.4 of a second over McLaughlin to set up an awesome race 1. Race 1 sees the pole sitter Shane Van Gisbergen go from first to third, as Corny gets a ripping start to go into second as McLaughlin leads. Rick Kelly was the first to retire after hitting the wall at turn 3, breaking the control arms and the suspension in the right rear. Reynolds does a big dive bomb on Whincup at turn 9, but Whincup turns in and Reynolds makes contact and spins Whincup around. I was surprised that Reynolds didn't get at least a 5-second time penalty, because although Reynolds was touch and go whether he got far enough up on the inside, he still made contact and Whincup lost 2 spots out of it, so Reynolds was lucky with that one. Then coming into the back half of the race, we had a safety car for debris that triggered chaos shortly after the restart, as the rookies got together of Golding, Stanaway and Hazelwood, resulting in another safety car. Then Tim Blanchard tried to make a risky pass on Simona at turn 8 and hit the wall, getting huge damage and an overnight rebuild for the team. But Shane Van Gisbergen had too much pace on Saturday and won the opening race of 2018 with a great drive from Corny in second and a solid race for McLaughlin to make the podium. And so they won again on Sunday, and the Red Bulls looked out the front row in qualifying. A flying start from Whincup took the lead and the car was a jet, opening up a 10-second lead over his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen. McLaughlin copped a puncher just after his first pit stop that makes him do an unscheduled stop and puts him out of the race. Then more drama with Whincup having a gearbox failure and making the car crawl back to the pits and retire after Whincup's 136 race finishing record. That's why he's the best there is. Then the pit stop battles happened and Reynolds jumped Shane Van Gisbergen in the pit stop to take the lead, and the battle was on into turn 4. But then Reynolds leaves the door open for Shane Van Gisbergen to go into at turn 9 and loses the lead and eventually the race. Like it said, it was in the commentary, Reynolds had to cover then. No matter if you're on cold tyres or not, it would have forced Shane Van Gisbergen to go around the outside of turn 9. Reynolds needed to make it harder for Shane Van Gisbergen, because if Reynolds stays in front, 1. Shane Van Gisbergen has to follow the dirty air of Reynolds, and 2. Work the car and tyres harder for Shane Van Gisbergen to get past Reynolds. It would have been a different race for sure, but Shane Van Gisbergen wins again on Sunday and amazingly clean sweeps the weekend, just like he did last year in Adelaide. That was a superb performance for SVG, with Reynolds in second and a good race for Tender in third. So that was the recap of the Adelaide 500. Let's get into the talking points of the weekend. In my preview I said that it would be difficult for the ZB Commodores to come out firing because it's a new car and they didn't have much data or tuning setups, but it was the complete opposite. The Commodores did come out strong and, as we saw, dominated the weekend, but this has now brought up the talking point of parity. The ZB Commodores are running lighter composite panels, which makes the car lighter in the centre of gravity on the vehicle. Contrast that to the Falcon and Nissan, where they run a heavier composite panels and also steel roof panels and steel front bonnet panels, which make the car heavier in the centre of gravity than the Holdens. Reducing the centre of gravity of a race car lessens the body roll and improves a car's weight transfer when accelerating and braking, and can help reduce tyre wear as well. Even though the Holden ZB is running lighter panels on the car, it still makes the minimum weight of 1410 kilos, so it's not like the Holdens have an outright advantage, if not at all. According to the rules, teams can propose to supercars to homologate at any time, so now that the Ford and Nissan teams have seen the ZB Commodore, they'll probably follow suit and use lighter panels if approved by supercars. But let's see how the parity is for a track like Albert Park in Tasmania, with different track characteristics. It'll give us a good read on the parity before we jump the gun on it. I think Red Bull have just done their homework on it and gone aggressive with the regulations. The other talking point I want to get to is track limits. As always, it is a big issue in motorsport. The big issue was the curb hopping at turn 2. On Sunday, Mark Winterbottom was running a good race in 4th when he was black flagged for apparently excessive use of turn 2 curbs. This is determined by a sensor in the turn 2 curbs that when a car goes too wide and uses all 4 wheels across the curb, the sensor in the curb will pick up the car's transponder and register it as a curb hop. The transponder is used for timing, not as a tracking GPS, so it's not always 100% accurate. Winterbottom said that he was being more cautious after his warnings and that he was angry that he has been pinged for it, as he stated that when you are now launching off it, you are not getting the height because you are hitting the curb slower, and instead of launching over the curb, you are kind of lower to the sensor, and I think that's made it more sensitive. So I feel for Frosty because he was driving a good race, and I don't think he deserved the penalty because most drivers were all 4 wheels off the track and onto the curb, but it was whether or not it was being picked up by the sensor. I feel like supercars should investigate a way to make it more accurate for curb hopping so we don't get drivers being pinged for curb hopping when it can be inconsistent at times. So that's the Adelaide 500 review. Here is the current championship standings heading into round 2. Shane van Gisbergen comes out with a maximum 300 points and leads the championship over Reynolds and Courtney, who have had a great start to the year. In the team's championship, the surprise of Mobile 1 Boost Mobile Racing is leading slightly over Red Bull HRT, but it's still early days in the championship and a long way to go. So the next round will be at the Australian Grand Prix, where we finally go there for championship points. Stay tuned for the preview of that round, as well as an F1 preview for their first round of the championship. So till next time, have a good one and goodbye.